Wir sind mit 10 deutschen Studenten in Odessa. Wir arbeiten zusammen mit 10 Studenten aus der Ukraine und unser gemeinsames Thema, das wir bearbeiten, heißt Herkunft und Heimat, historisches Gedächtnis, gemeinsames Europa. Und wir haben jetzt eine Woche sehr intensiv gearbeitet, 10 Interviews mit Zeitzeugen durchgeführt und eine weitere Woche wird im November in Deutschland stattfinden.
На данный момент я нахожусь в Одессе с 10 студентами. Мы проводим проект, он называется «Прошлое, Родина, общая Европа». 10 студентов из Германии берут интервью о судьбах семей, которые были когда-то, возможно, и депортированы. Также 10 украинских студентов поедут с таким же проектом в Германию, чтобы брать интервью у немецких семей.
Могли бы вы рассказать о дальнейшей своей деятельности, о перспективах деятельности в нашем регионе?
Könnten Sie bitte ein bisschen über Ihre weitere Tätigkeit hier in Odessa-Region erzählen?
Ja, der Bessarabiendeutsche Verein ist weniger jetzt in der Stadt Odessa direkt tätig, sondern mehr in der Region Arzis, Tarutino, also im Landkreis Ackermann auch. Ja, und da sind wir sehr aktiv. Wir haben viele Begegnungen mit den Menschen in den unterschiedlichen Gemeinden. Wir unterstützen mit humanitärer Hilfe. Wir initiieren Schulprojekte. Es geht uns einfach um Begegnung der Menschen miteinander. Das erscheint uns sehr wichtig. Und der andere Schwerpunkt ist, wir möchten auch erreichen, dass einige der Kulturgüter, die die Deutschen hier in ihrer Siedlungszeit in Bessarabien geschaffen haben, dass die erhalten bleiben und dass die ein Zeugnis geben von der Geschichte der Deutschen in Bessarabien.
Спасибо большое за вопрос. Но мы работаем не только в Одессе, а также в Арцизе, Тарутино, в Акермане, то есть бывшей Бессарабии. И наша задача помогать людям, мы оказываем гуманитарную помощь, мы всячески поддерживаем различные общественные организации, мы проводим школьные проекты, которые каким-то образом помогают людям завязывать контакты, и также особую роль мы отводим сохранению памяти о немцах, которые внесли большой вклад в развитие Бессарабского края.
Know what was the reason, what was the motive why the Germans came to Bessarabia. Now, Bessarabia was after the Turkish-Russian wars. It was under Alexander I could incorporate Bessarabia into the Russian Empire. So, and this country was devastated by the wars between the Turk and the Russian. So it was there were in the south of this country, there were very little people, and this part of Bessarabia, the south of Bessarabia, Alexander wanted to cultivate and modernize and bring people to this country so that they could develop a modern agriculture system. And the people who were invited, they got privileges. They got a piece of land, and this land was very fertile. But it has to be. These people had a lot of work to make it ready for agriculture. So, and these people had some privileges. The piece of land. They had freedom of religiosity, of religion. They had freedom of military service, and they had the chance for a local communal system. So they were not subordinated under the Russian or administration of the normal Russian administration, because this was corrupt and not very effective and so on. They had own administration. In this frame, they could develop a very well working society structure. They had in their villages. They had a local mayor, and he was chosen by the elected. He was elected by the people in this village, and so they had not this normal Russian administration, but they had their own administration, and the top of this was the Fürsorge Committee, and this was one privilege, very important privilege. They had their own education system, yeah, and the normal people in Russia, they had no educational possibility. They had no schools. The children of the Russian, of the Moldavian, of the Bulgarian, and so on, they had no school, nothing. But the Germans brought their schools with them and the system of education, so they had an advantage to develop. And the normal farm people in the Russian Empire who were in the country, they were Leibeigen, was heißt that? They belonged to somebody. They were not free. They were not free farmers, but the Germans were free farmers. And so this was these points were very important. They were free farmers. They had an educational system, and they had religion, freedom of religion, and they did not have to go to the military service and some other privileges. But this was the main. So then Alexander I was interested in this process of bringing free farmers to. This were not only Germans; they were also Bulgarians. They were also in this colonists. They were colonists. This was another status as a farmer who was not free. And they had the land, and they could work on the land, and it was theirs. The land belonged to them. So they had also an interest in work with the land and cultivate it and modernize. And Alexander wanted to make this process, but he could not. There was this. Ich weiß nicht, was Leibeigenschaft jetzt auf Englisch heißt. The Russian farmers were not free, and so they could not. They had not the chance to develop their villages and because they were subordinated under this Russian system of the privileged people. So, and now this in this combination, the Germans, it was very hard for them in the beginning because they had nothing. They had big land, but it was not cultivated, so they had to do everything to make it productive. And so after a short time of, I think, 30, 40 years, they had more. They were more wealthy, and they had the fruits of their work. And this was intended by the Tsar regime. Alexander, he wanted these people to develop themselves, and so they had at the end of their existence in this country, they had 150 villages, and all of these villages were very well done, and mostly were also wealthy, because this land is very, 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 very good earth, and so they had very good conditions after a while. But they had also a lot of problems. Many of them died because during the immigration, many people died because they had nothing to eat, and it was cold, and they had no houses, and so on. They were ill, and in the beginning they had a lot of problems. But then, after a time, they could develop very well. So, and they were very. In my thesis is in this book that this model of bringing such people to the country, it was a model project. It should be shown to the other people and to the upper classes that farmers who were free and farmers who were responsible for themselves, and they could do their work without any problems from other. My English is not perfect, excuse me, please. So, but they had this model project was an experiment. It should be shown to the other people that would be better to have free farmers than to have farmers who were bound to the adel, richer people. So. And so this was one thing, and this experiment was made until to 1871, when this administration for the colonists were solved. So they had they belonged to the normal administration, but at that time normal administration was much more better, and so it was for the colonists it was not a problem. They had their schools, and they had their villages, and they had their had their own administration. So they were there in a very good situation. And this status was until to the end of the 19th century, beginning 20th century. Then in the Russian government, there were people who had made a policy of Russification, and so this was very for the Germans. It was not very well, but they could live with that. But then before the First World War, they were declared as enemies because they were Germans, and then they should lose their privileges total, and they should depossessed. They should give their they had no there were laws so that the Germans should depossess. They should lose their land and their houses and so on, and their money, and then they should be deported to the east of Russia. And this was did not take place only in some villages in the north, but not in the most of the villages. It did not work, this plan, because this was a very hard winter, and it was big of snow. So the wagons, which should bring the people to the east, they could not start. And there were also some Russian people in the local administrations. They want to help the Germans back. They wanted that they stay because they were so good people. They did their work, and they could live with them and liked them. And so, and then there came the February Revolution, and then these laws were not longer guilty. So, no longer. These laws were not longer. So they had, and then Bessarabia came to Romania, and the Germans came under Romanian sovereignty, and there were also some problems with the Romanians. I cannot tell you this in the details, but mostly the biggest problem was the education system, because the Romanians made a policy of Romanization in Bessarabia. They wanted to. This was a Russian part, and the Russian territory, and they wanted to Romanize this country. And the Germans also. They came under Romanian. For example, in the schools. There were big problems with the Romanians because they wanted to change in the schools with the teachers, more Romanian teachers than German teachers, Romanian language but not German language in the school books and so on. And there were a lot of problems. And then at the end of the 30s at that time, there were some modifications in this policy, but in 1940 the Germans were they were resettled. They were resettled out of Bessarabia, on exactly the whole the total people of about 100,000 people. They were resettled to Poland. Which Poland was at that time it was under Nazi German control, and so they should go there. And from there, after the end of the war, and the war was lost for the Germans, so they had to flee to the west. So this is the whole frame, and you can, if you want, you can see the book has some chapters, and they were always for one point of development of this group, of this ethnicity, and so you can start with the beginning with the immigration, and then you have the development as free farmers, and their school system, their economy, their working processes, and so on. All this you can say, and a lot of photos, very, very good photos, illustrating this period of 125 years of the presence of German people in this country.
Which is the name of the book?
The Germans in Bessarabia.
Can you?
1814 to 1940.
Can you?
You will find everything there: a timetable, register of the names and of the people, and so on. Maps, a lot of maps, and a lot of very interesting and beautiful photos, which illustrate all this, the process of this presence of these German people in Bessarabia. And today, a lot of people say to us, this was a good time with the Germans, and it is a pity that they had to go, and so on. So we have a lot of contacts out of this staying together with the people of Bessarabia, and we, our society and also people, free, normal people, without the society, they make a lot of contacts with the people here, and there are German villages, a lot of German villages, but I'm very sorry, but they are in a very bad Zustand. So the people living in the houses, they have a lot of problems, and they are very happy if the Germans come and help them and work together and make projects together, and so it's a very, very good communication of the people here in Bessarabia, and the Germans from Bessarabia who come to. They have a lot of contacts. They can know a lot of people, and so they can help them in some way. They are very nice people and interested in the problems of the people here, and they do everything to have a friendship together. So this is the book.
One more question, please. Could you answer why you choose write about this region, about our place of Odessa? I mean, why you interested about this place, about this?
Now, in the moment.
Yes.
Now, in the moment.
Yes.
In the moment, I was here because my book was translated into Russian. And it was given to the schools and to the libraries and so on. And very often people come to me and ask me about the book and some matters of the book. And in the moment we are here because we have started a project of exchange young people from Germany and young people from Ukraine, southwest Ukraine. And in this project, the young people they work together, yeah, and they make experience of each other, and they make friendship, and they go in the German villages and look for old people who remember the time of the time when the Germans were here. And there were not only Germans who were interviewed, but also other people, Bulgarians and Moldovians and Ukrainians and so on. So, ich muss kommen, ja? Ja, die müssen weg. So, this is very, very interesting what the result of these interviews is. And we will work it out and document, and so that it will become the next publication we will present.
Дякую вам за прекрасний наступаючий тиждень. І, мабуть, багато хто з вас знає, наскільки тісно німці поєднані особливо з південною частиною Одещини, з Бессарабією. Добре всі відомі поселення в Татрабунарському районі та Рутино, де, ви можете собі уявити, було 3 друкованих видання. Це фантастичний показник, насправді, як працювала громада своїми людьми, наскільки мала вплив, маючи жіночу гімназію, де викладала і де популяризувалася мова німецька. І насправді ми не такі далекі, як нам здається, що ми є на карті, так? Тому хотілося відкривати сторінку позитиву, навчання один в одного і спільної праці подалі. Дякую вам, вас вітаю, приємно і вітання від голови адміністрації пана Михайла.